Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. It is that time of the week again. The games are coming thick and fast. It's another Premier League predictions video. Another round of Premier League fixtures are almost upon us this weekend. Some huge games throughout the entirety of the Premier League table. And of course, this is the video where I go through each and every single game, talk and analyse them, and of course give my predictions on how I think each and every single Premier League game will end up this weekend. Cannot wait to sink our teeth and feast our eyes upon what this weekend has to offer. Before we get into all of that though, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And of course, I want you lot to get involved as well. Give me your thoughts, give me your comments, give me most of all though, your predictions on how you think each and every single game in this round of Premier League fixtures will end up this weekend. I'd love to hear from you all down below in the comments section. I'm sure it'll make for great and interesting reading. But without further ado, let's get on with the predictions. First and foremost, we are at Selhurst Park, 12:30 kickoff once again for Liverpool as they travel away to Selhurst Park. We already saw what Jurgen Klopp's reaction earlier this week was when asked by an Amazon Prime presenter about this 12:30 game. Safe to say, he's not happy. Pretty sure this now makes it 15 12:30 games in the past few years for Liverpool, which ain't great and is an absolute joke when you consider that second place in that particular league table is on 6 or 7. So, pretty ridiculous, but we move. Crystal Palace welcome Liverpool to Selhurst Park, with Palace, of course, in a very bad run of form right now, losing 2-0 to Bournemouth last time out, whilst Liverpool won 2-0 against Sheffield United, and of course are chasing top of the table Arsenal right now, who are 2 points clear of the Gunners. So there is a possibility that Liverpool could be going top of the table with a win in this game, albeit for maybe a few hours before Arsenal, of course, play their game on Saturday night. Big incentive for Liverpool. Crystal Palace, we know that Selhurst Park can be difficult. We know that Selhurst Park can be very hostile at times. We know that Selhurst Park in the past has been a pretty difficult ground for Liverpool to go to in recent years. But with Roy Hodgson in a poor and Crystal Palace in a poor run of form, Liverpool, yes, it's away from home. Yes, it's a 12:30 kickoff. Those two things never really combine well for the Reds. This could be the one game that Crystal Palace turn up, of course. It wouldn't surprise me in any way, shape or form. But Liverpool have to go gung-ho in this game, and Liverpool have to come out with a win by hook or by crook. So I'm going to go with a Liverpool win. I'm going to say that they're the favourites going into this game based on form, based off of ability, quality, and everything else that goes along with it. And I'm going to say that Liverpool win this game by 2-0. Next, we're off to the Amex Stadium for Brighton's home game against Burnley. Brighton come into this game after a 2-1 victory midweek against Brentford, whilst Burnley couldn't follow up that huge 5-0 win last weekend against Sheffield United with a win against Wolves, instead losing 1-0 to the West Midlands side. Big game for Burnley, of course. They need more points on the board, but they come up against a Brighton side that are going to be extremely tough opposition for most. And of course, after a big win midweek, I'm sure they'll be looking to make it back-to-back wins for the Seagulls in this game. The Seagulls come into this one as favourites. I imagine that they are going to get the job done here. But of course, you can never rule anything out as a foregone conclusion. Burnley getting something from this game wouldn't surprise me, especially with the way that Brighton have been slightly inconsistent for most parts of this season. But I still would back Brighton to get the job done here, get the 3 points, and get the all-important win. So, with that being said, I'm going to go for a 2-0 win in favour of the Seagulls. Next up, we're at Old Trafford for Manchester United's clash with Bournemouth. Both of these sides won in their midweek game, with Man United beating Chelsea by 2-1, whilst Bournemouth beat Crystal Palace 2-0. And it's quite the run that Bournemouth are putting together right now. That makes it 4 games unbeaten in their last 4 Premier League games for the Cherries. So it's going to be very interesting, this one. Look, United are very weird and inconsistent, and the ironic thing is that with a win on Saturday, they could actually be level on points with Manchester City before City even play their game this weekend. So this one could be a very intriguing game, to say the least. There's a lot riding on it for United. For Bournemouth, they want to put more points between themselves and the relegation zone. Gotta say, I was probably wrong about Bournemouth in the sense that I thought they'd struggle a lot this season, but they've actually put together a bit of a nice run in recent games. Whether that continues or not remains to be seen. This is going to be a very tough ask for Bournemouth. But as we know with the Cherries, they play some good football at times. Sometimes their issue is just stopping conceding stupid goals. United go into this as the favourites. They have the quality, the individual quality, the match winners, and an informed Scotsman in midfield who is grabbing them all the goals right now in Scott McTominay. So I wouldn't be surprised if United go on and win this game. But I think Bournemouth will give them a good run for their money. So I'm going to say that this game ends in a draw, and I'm going to say 1-1 come the final whistle. Next up, Bramall Lane awaits the arrival of Brentford as Sheffield United take on the Bees at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Both of these sides coming into this game looking to bounce back from midweek defeats, where Sheffield United were beaten by Liverpool by 2-0 and Brentford were beaten by Brighton 2-1. Big game for both of these sides. Sheffield United, of course, under their new manager Chris Wilder, or old manager should I say, Chris Wilder. They'll take encouragement from maybe frustrating Liverpool for large periods of the game in midweek, whilst Brentford, of course, will want to get back to the drawing board. Their inconsistent season continues after that loss to the Seagulls in midweek. But what we do know about this game is it could be very interesting. Sheffield United, you'd expect, will probably try and hit Brentford on the counter-attack. Brentford will try and be a bit more authoritative in the game. And we know that if Brentford are on form, they can be very difficult opposition for anyone and everyone. Brentford go into this game as the favourites, and we know that they, on their day, can score plenty of goals. But we do know that sometimes they can lack concentration and composure in key moments, and that's where Sheffield United have to strike if they want to try and take anything from this game. My personal opinion is that Brentford win this game, and I'm going to say that the Bees come out of this one as 3-1 winners. Next up, Wolverhampton Wanderers take on Nottingham Forest at Molineux. Wolves come into this game off the back of a 1-0 victory against Burnley on Tuesday night, whilst Nottingham Forest come into this game after a heavy thumping at the hands of Fulham, who smashed them 5-0 on Wednesday. Could this be Steve Cooper's last stand as Nottingham Forest manager? Reports are beginning to snowball that a bad result here against Wolves could see the Nottingham Forest manager finally lose his job after obviously dancing with that kind of sack devil, I guess you could say, of managers for a long, long time. Could this potentially be the final straw for Cooper? It is possible. Like I say, reports are seemingly suggesting that that may be the case. And unfortunately, I know that Forest have managed to pick up a few wins this season in unlikely circumstances and against teams that you probably wouldn't have expected them to beat, the likes of Chelsea and Aston Villa in particular. But unfortunately, I just don't see it happening here. I think Wolves are playing some really good football right now. They've got a couple of informed players in Cunha and Hwang Hee-chan. So I've got to go with Wolves on this one, and I've got to say that they're playing the better football. They have the better finishers. Forest are always a danger, and there's always a potential of their danger obviously coming true and obviously hurting Wolves. They definitely have the players to hurt them on the counter-attack especially. But I can't look past Wolves for what they are doing right now and for how they're playing. So with that being said, I'm going to go with a Wolverhampton Wanderers victory, and I'm going to say that this game ends 2-1 to the home side. Next up, we're going to jump ahead to Sunday's games, and first up, we're at Goodison Park for Everton taking on Chelsea, the Toffees against the Blues. It's a massive game, this one. This one is very weird because Everton under Sean Dyche are really starting to put together some decent form. They absolutely smashed Newcastle midweek in a 3-0 victory there, whilst Chelsea probably had Manchester United at their mercy, but they played extremely poorly to lose 2-1 to the Red Devils. And I don't honestly know what to make of Chelsea this season. Every time I back them to lose, they win, and every time they lose, I back them to lose, or back them to win, they lose. So I don't really know what to make of Chelsea this season. They are very, very weird. They're a very weird team. And they're coming up against an Everton side who will be feeling good. They'll be absolutely rocking. They've got some good performances under their belt. They've managed to already claw back 6 points from that 10-point deduction that they received from the Premier League over a few weeks ago. And obviously, if it hadn't been for that, they would have been above Chelsea going into this game if it weren't for that 10-point deduction. So there's a lot riding on this game, and I just wonder whether or not Everton can heap more doom and gloom onto this Chelsea side, and if they do, how the Chelsea fans are going to react to that. It's going to be very interesting to see how this game pans out. Honestly, though, I genuinely don't know. I'm tempted to go for a draw and call it down the middle. I could see Chelsea winning it because they actually turn up for this game, but Everton winning it honestly wouldn't surprise me. It's very, very weird and it's very strange. Like, it genuinely could happen. So this is the prediction I'm not entirely confident on. I'm gonna call it down the middle and go for a draw, and I'm gonna say that this game ends 1-1 come the final whistle. But I am not in any way, shape, or form confident about that. Craven Cottage awaits Fulham against West Ham, a London derby of sorts for your Sunday afternoon viewing. Fulham, of course, come into this game off the back of a 5-0 victory over Nottingham Forest, of course, on Wednesday night, whilst West Ham managed to come from behind to beat Tottenham by 2-1 on Thursday evening. Big game, this one. It's an interesting one. Fulham have actually scored quite a few goals in recent weeks, so there goes my theory that Fulham don't really score many goals, but in their past 3 games, I think, they've scored a grand total of like 11 goals, so that's actually not bad. 5 of them did come against Nottingham Forest, 3 of them came against Liverpool, and 3 of them came against Wolverhampton Wanderers. So they're coming into this game in some good goal-scoring form. It's whether or not they can stop leaking goals in certain aspects. And against the West Ham United side, who take their chances, I guess is the best way to say it. West Ham didn't really have a lot to go on with the Tottenham game, but they took their chances when they mattered most. And that is what West Ham have pretty much done throughout most of this season, is just take their chances when they fall to them. So they are very clinical in that aspect. It's going to make for a very fascinating game. Cannot wait for this one. This one could be a very underrated, very fast-paced, end-to-end sort of game that we could have on our hands here. And as far as a winner goes, or even a prediction of any sort, Fulham are in good goal-scoring form. West Ham take their chances. They could cancel each other out at the end of the day. It could be a draw. I'm going to give the slightest of edges to West Ham, though, and I'm going to say that West Ham come out of this one as 2-1 winners. Next up, Kenilworth Road welcomes the champions, the treble winners, the three-peat champions, Manchester City, as Luton Town take on Pep Guardiola's City side, with City looking to bounce back from a winless run of 4 games on the bounce. Luton Town last time out battled hard against Arsenal at home, but unfortunately due to a 97th minute winner from Declan Rice, ended up on the losing end of a 7-goal thriller as Arsenal managed to beat Luton by 4-3. Manchester City lost 1-0 to Aston Villa midweek, stretching their winless run to 4 games, which under Pep Guardiola is completely unheard of. City will welcome back their suspended players for this game, I believe. Maybe even a couple of the injured ones as well. And it's looking like it might be a difficult afternoon for Luton. Of course, City go into this as the favourites, as you would expect. But Kenilworth Road has been a bit of an awkward ground for most teams. Arsenal found that out on Tuesday night when, of course, they were very, very close to dropping points had it not been for an injury time winner. Liverpool, of course, came here a few weeks ago, and only ended up taking a point from this game. United will run ragged as well here. Luton definitely give some of the bigger teams in this league some food for thought in this fixture, particularly when they're at home. So this one might not be as straightforward as what you may be thinking, but at the same time, City should get the job done. And I'm thinking that Erling Haaland will finally rediscover his scoring touch and get back on the score sheet in this one. And it's going to be basically just about quality of finishing. Luton Town will always have a threat on the counter-attack. Of course they will. I would hope that they go into this game with no fear, or at least grow into the game with no fear, and maybe give City a run for their money. Will that happen? I'm not 100% sure, but obviously this one could make for a very fascinating game nonetheless. I'm going to go with Man City to win. It's got to be the favourites. I want Luton Town to get something from this game, but I expect City to get back to winning ways with a victory here. Erling Haaland to get back on the score sheet, and City to win by 3-0. The penultimate game on this list sees Tottenham Hotspur take on Newcastle United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, White Hart Lane, whatever you want to call it, for your Sunday afternoon viewing. It's a weird game, this one. Both these sides come into this game off the back of losing midweek. Tottenham lost 2-1 to West Ham United. Newcastle lost 3-0 to Everton. Intriguing game. Tottenham, of course, seem to always race out the blocks really early, grab an early goal, and then fall away as the game progresses and end up losing. That's been the story of their past few games, actually. They've taken the lead in each of their last 4 or 5 games now, and ended up either drawing or losing. So they're on a bit of a winless run themselves. Newcastle are hit and miss. They beat Manchester United last weekend, only to lose to Everton, of course, midweek, which is strange. Very inconsistent on Eddie Howe's part. I don't know which way this game is going to go, to be honest. Like, this one could really go any which way. Obviously, Tottenham have a lot of injuries themselves to contend with, so this game might be a little bit diluted in terms of quality with some of the players that are going to be missing from this game from both of these sides. So, it's going to be very interesting to see how both of these sides line up and how both of these sides are going to play their respective game. But this has all the makings of a great game of football between two very well drilled, two very open and attacking sides. This one should be a very intriguing game, to say the least. As far as a winner goes, or a prediction of any kind, Tottenham, Newcastle, call it down the middle? I'm going to call it down the middle, only just. I honestly don't know how to separate them in this instance. I reckon either of these sides could go on and win it, but I'm going to call it down the middle, and I'm going to say that this game ends 2-2 come the final whistle. And finally, we're going back to Saturday night, 5:30 kickoff for our main event of this round of Premier League fixtures. The biggest highlight in this weekend's Premier League action, in my opinion, comes from Villa Park, and it will be Aston Villa taking on Arsenal. Third against first. Unai Emery returning to face his old club against Mikel Arteta. What a game we have on our hands for our Saturday night viewing. I can't wait for this one personally. You've got an Aston Villa side who come into this game off the back of a 1-0 victory against the current Premier League champions Manchester City. They, of course, are unbeaten in their last 16 home games in all competitions. You've got an Arsenal side who are very good away from home. They're currently top of the table. They're looking to either extend or maintain their position at the top of the table over the likes of Liverpool below them, and even Aston Villa, who are chasing them now as well, with them being third, come into this game off the back of a 4-3 victory over Luton, in which they needed a 97th minute winner from Declan Rice to seal the game. This one is going to be quality, to say the least. Massive game. A lot riding on it, not just about Aston Villa's current record in terms of their home form, not just in terms of Arsenal being top of the table, but there's a lot riding on it in terms of, obviously, somewhat of a smaller rivalry between these two. A big game, a Premier League classic, that kind of thing. One game that I personally cannot wait for. It's going to be Aston Villa's high line that Arsenal are going to be looking to exploit, with the likes of Bukayo Saka one side, Gabriel Martinelli the other side. Maybe Gabriel Jesus through the middle, Martin Odegaard as the playmaker pulling the strings against Aston Villa's forward line of an informed Ollie Watkins, of Moussa Diaby, of John McGinn, of Douglas Luiz. I am very much intrigued by this. Very much intrigued by this game, and I'm fascinated by it, and I cannot wait for this game to unfold before our very eyes on Saturday night. Massive game, and I want to say that Aston Villa come out of this game with something. Of course I do. I was really praying that Luton were going to come out with something the other day, and they were so close to obviously making that a reality until Declan Rice's winner But with Arsenal growing in confidence, with Arsenal growing in mentality, I think we will see another episode of that again play out before our very eyes on Saturday night. And that's why I see Arsenal winning this game in injury time and breaking the record of Aston Villa and maintaining their place at the top of the table. I want to say Aston Villa gets something, and I really think there is every chance that they could. But it's going to be a very difficult task for both of these teams. Aston Villa have got to maintain their composure. They've got to maintain a strike force which is growing in confidence and starting to click a little bit more game by game. And they've got to also take their chances when they come to them against what could be a very difficult defence that Arsenal possess right now. As well as Arsenal, they've got to obviously beat a difficult defence themselves. A strong midfield, an extremely strong midfield that consists of Douglas Luiz, John McGinn, and so on. And then, of course, they've got to try and keep Ollie Watkins quiet, who doesn't need much of a chance, by the way. Ollie Watkins does not need much of a chance in order to punish the opposition. So there's a lot riding on this, and there's a lot of factors to this game. But I, for one, am very much interested in what should be a very good game of football between two good footballing sides. I just see Arsenal winning this one by hook or by crook, by any means necessary, continuing that mentality that they've shown so often this season of late drama, late goals and late winners. And that's why I'm predicting Arsenal to win this game by 3-2 with another late winner. And there you have it. Those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of all of the games that are coming up this weekend and another round of exciting and intriguing and fascinating Premier League fixtures? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, all of your predictions on all of the games that are coming up this weekend. I'm sure it'll make for interesting and great reading down below in the comment section, so do get involved down there. But without further ado, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new and want to see more content like this. Both of them, as always, and probably greatly appreciated from you all. So thank you very much for that. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League predictions video, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Enjoy the Premier League action this weekend, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.